Guys, in this video, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the fundamentals of gun safety. And I have a lot of new shooters that come into my classes. I mean people that have literally just bought their gun and have brought their gun to my class. I have unboxed guns for several people in my classes over the years, and I wanted to take just a few minutes for those of you guys out there that are new to firearms, just to give you some basic understandings of firearm safety. And it's real important that we do this and we pay careful attention to the fundamentals of safety for various reasons. The reason that I like teaching safety and emphasizing safety so heavily is because every time there is an accident with a gun, that's just a little bit more ammunition that goes to the folks who are opposed to the Second Amendment. So the safer we can be, the more that we can reduce accidents with guns, the less opportunities they have at using accidents against us. And if we can reduce the number of accidents, that's things that they cannot talk about in their push for gun control. Now, the first rule of gun safety is to never assume that a gun is unloaded. You always assume that the gun is loaded. You treat that gun as it is if it is loaded. And looking at the three guns that I've got laid out here on the table, I would like for you guys to take just a minute and ask yourselves which one of those three guns is loaded. There is no physical way that you can look at those guns and tell if one of them is loaded or not. You've got to check. Always check. You double check and then you triple check. If someone hands you a gun, if they check that gun in front of you, it's always a good idea for you to check it yourself. You never know if they've missed something. With a semi-automatic is you want to pick it up, keep your finger off of the trigger, keep it pointed in a safe direction. You'll notice that my finger is up closer to where the chamber is. This is what we call high index. You don't want to have your finger down here close to that trigger where something could hit it and actually push your finger into that trigger. So keep it up high. Now, the first thing that you want to do with a semi-automatic when to safety check it is, of course, drop the magazine. And you can see here there is nothing in that magazine. However, just because you take the magazine out, do not assume that that gun is unloaded at that time. You want to keep it in a safe direction as always, keep the finger off the trigger, and then you want to cycle that action back and lock it open. And I want you to look here. This is a snap cap that I had in this gun. There have been people that have assumed a gun was unloaded just because there was nothing in the magazine and ended up shooting someone or themselves. So you always want to make sure that the gun is unloaded. Visually check that chamber, also physically check that chamber, run that finger in there. And the reason that you want to physically check that chamber is if you're ever in a room that's a little dark, where you can't necessarily see everything around you, that's a good way to ensure that there is nothing in that chamber. So then once you've done that, of course, you can then close the action. Do not treat a gun recklessly just because you've checked to see that it's unloaded. We had talked earlier about why you want to drop the magazine out and you want to drop it out first, and I just want to show you why. And we're going to use a snap cap here to demonstrate that. And you can see this is not a real bullet. This is a snap cap that you can get. I will put a link to my Amazon store down in the comments, my link to my Amazon page, and you can find some snap caps as well as some other things there. So I'm going to put that snap cap in this magazine. I have seen people, when they would go to check to see if a gun was unloaded, they would pull that action back, look to see that there is currently nothing in the chamber, as you can see here, but then when they let it go, I want you to show you something. That snap cap is not in the magazine any longer. Where's it at? It is in the chamber of that gun. Just like that right there. That is why whenever you check a semi-automatic, you want to make sure that the first thing you do is to drop that magazine. And it's the same way with this 1911. Any gun out there with a semi-automatic, the first thing that you want to do, drop that magazine out, check the magazine, and then check the action. Lock that action back, then you can physically and visually check inside there. Again, you cannot look at any of these guns to see if they're loaded or unloaded. Just like with this one, there was a snap cap in the chamber. Now let's go over to this one. Pull it out and look, we do have ammunition in the magazine. Is there anything in the chamber? That's what we need to know for sure. I'll pull that action back, I'll lock it back, and look, we do have a live round in the chamber of this gun. This is my carry gun, so yes, it was loaded. So I'm going to put that back down. I'm going to just put my round back in the magazine for when I reload it. And that is the first rule of gun safety, is to never assume that a gun is unloaded. You always check, you always double check. Go through the extra step after someone has checked a gun in front of you. Take that extra time, check that gun for yourself. The next thing to remember is to always keep your finger off the trigger. I'd mentioned just a brief moment ago about that, but most guns are not going to discharge if you do not press that trigger. I mean, and just again, we're going to make sure that we're unloaded. There is nothing in this particular gun, okay? That gun is not going to fire. I can slap it, I can hit it back here. You know, there are some guns available out there, used market, and then others, you know, manufacturers come out and have problems with their gun that can have a drop safety issue. And we've seen some recalls from SIG and from others because of that over the years. But in most cases, if you do not press the trigger, you are not going to have a discharge on that gun. There are some instances where you can have a malfunction in the gun. We had mentioned the drop safeties earlier, and that is one reason why, even though you keep your finger off the trigger, you always want to keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Another very important thing to remember is to know your target. Always be aware of your target and what is behind it. Hollywood has done a big disservice to their portrayal of guns and what they can do and what they can't do. We see in a lot of movies where people will hide behind doors of cars, they will hide behind sheetrock walls, and those walls will get all shot up, and the people have just come right back out and shoot at the opponents, you know, and shoot at their whoever is against them. But at the same time, in reality is those bullets will go through those walls, and several just like them in most cases. So you always want to be sure of your target and what is behind it. But guys, this is just a quick video that I wanted to do. If you are new to guns, let me know down in the comments below. And I would highly encourage you to find a reputable instructor to learn more about firearm safety, get the training you need to be safe. Please visit my website at boomsticktactical.com. Thanks for watching, guys. Check out the links down in the description, and we will see you next time.